Yo, what is going on YouTube? I am Germ here. Today, we're back talking about the LCS news. We're talking about another story type discussion thing where the topic today is, was Broxah really the problem for Team Liquid last season? I know Team Liquid had some struggles in the spring, came back pretty good in the summer, but again, weren't able to win a title or anything, and then weren't able to make it out of groups at Worlds yet again, and a lot of the blame throughout most of the course of the season. In the spring, there was some double lift drama here and there, but over the course of summer and into Worlds, a lot of the blame was put on the shoulders of Broxah. He's kind of come out and said how he's felt about some things, but there's tons of differing opinions on this situation. Some people thinking Broxah is getting an unfair amount of the blame, and some people thinking maybe he deserves to be flamed even more and kind of doubling down on flaming this guy. But in this video today, we're going to be talking about if I think, and all you guys as well, I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts and opinions, if we think that Broxah was a problem for Team Liquid last season, and if we think Santorin is going to be the solution to winning a title, to making it out of groups at Worlds, to performing at MSI, you know, just whatever we want to call it. But before we get into that, I just want to mention real quick a word from today's sponsor, which is Draft Buff. You guys know this is a fantasy esports website and app. You can build a fantasy team of the best players in esports. They have us on the App Store, they have it on Google Play, and you can do it in browser as well. They have fantasy leagues where you can play head-to-head all season long. Very, very soon, they're going to have Royale mode coming out, which I'm personally super excited for. 100 entries, one winner, drafted on a budget. That sounds like an interesting, really fun strategy to me. And then Draft Pass, where you can earn avatars and taunts to show who's the boss. So if you're interested in playing fantasy, LCS, LEC, LCK, anything all season long, which I know I definitely am, check out Draft Buff. And if you get signed up, use code IAMGERM. I would appreciate it a bunch, and so would they. Shout out to Draft Buff. With that being said, here we go, talking about today's topic again. Was Broxah the problem? Is Santorin the solution? Let's break it down. So, again, if you didn't see my video a couple days ago, or if you didn't see the video that Broxah posted a couple days ago, he had this thing where he was talking about kind of the state of, I guess, the League of Legends community, where he was saying people are getting flamed for way too much stuff, people aren't getting celebrated enough. He thinks he played well throughout the 2020 season. He thinks he got flamed way overboard. So that kind of just got me thinking, was he right? Are we missing something? And he says Team Liquid should have been celebrated more. You know, they had an awesome split where they finished as the best record in summer. He thinks it's crazy that Cloud9 got so much flame when they had such an amazing spring. And I don't know, it had me feeling a lot of different ways. Like, on one hand, again, I agreed with him that yes, the League of Legends community can be very, very toxic. Sometimes people say some crazy things, but I think it is a very small minority of the population. I think the average people have been great. You know, I make videos, I make content, I'm interacting with the community all the time, and I've met tons of awesome people. I get tons of awesome comments, I get tons of awesome feedback all the time. There are some crazies, but in my experience, and I'm pretty sure in the experience of most other people, that has been the minority. Obviously, again, you do get the crazy hate here and there. But what did rub me the wrong way was Broxah kind of saying how he thinks he played really well and doesn't deserve as much of the flame when I watch those games, you guys watch those games, analysts watch those games, teams watch those games, and we saw a lot of problems with Broxah. And, you know, a lot of us aren't stupid. We have eyes. We can see what's going on. Or, you know, obviously a pro player and pro teams and stuff, they can have their own opinions, and they should probably be valued a little bit more highly than the average League of Legends fan or whatever. But again, fans deserve an opinion, and there was obviously some problems with Team Liquid, obviously some problems with Broxah specifically, and there are some people who kind of predicted this, seeing that he wasn't even playing that good at the end of his run with Fnatic, and then headed into his run with Team Liquid. A lot of the same problems were kind of popping up, a lot of inactivity, a lot of, even when you're generating leads, just not really getting stuff done, and coming over as this kind of big signing from Europe that people were really, really hyped for, because he was just a year removed from making it to the World Finals, and then he came to North America, and what, he was the 5th best jungler in North America, the 6th best jungler in North America. Like, that's not what anyone was hoping for, especially after years of Xmithy being like a top 2 or 3 jungler in North America, and they were really looking to upgrade. Obviously, they weren't looking to downgrade in the jungle position, so Broxah was really, really disappointing. But it did concern me that he was like kind of trying to say how he played well. I mean, I don't know about you guys, and I've talked about this in the past. I don't think bad performances or losing or whatever should like destroy you. I don't think you need to get so upset or so angry that it takes over your life or blah, 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 blah. But what I do hate is when people lose and they kind of get this complacent attitude, or they want to like look back and be like, oh, I did fine. Yeah, I'm good. I'm just headed into next season. I'm going to do everything the same. I think when you fall short, which Team Liquid did, they didn't make the playoffs in spring. They didn't win the championship after having the best record in summer, and they didn't make it out of groups at Worlds. Largely, Team Liquid's 2020 season was a failure, and people are saying that, and Brox is taking it as flame and trying to say that he played well. He's not in his own head being like, wow, yeah, I came over to NA, won no titles, didn't make it out of groups at Worlds. I was a disappointment. That's not what Fnatic signed up for. That's not what Fnatic got me for. That's not what them, the Team Liquid, and just LCS fans in general were expecting. So yeah, I don't know. I've liked Broxah for a while. I love his attitude. I think he's really entertaining streams. I think he has good content stuff. I love his positive vibes and stuff, but I hate how complacent he is sounding. I would want him to be fired up and ready to go and looking to prove people wrong this season, looking to bounce back. But it seems like he is just going to have a very similar season, if not even worse than last year, because it seems like he is just comfortable and he's just kind of chilling. And I do not think that bodes well for him bouncing back and having a big season with CLG. With that being said, I think Santorin is quite the opposite. This is a very, very passionate guy. We've seen him get very, very emotional at times. This is a guy who's hungry. He wants to win. He wants a chance to prove himself. He's been on the top teams like back in the day with TSM before, and he is hungry to get back to that. And he had an amazing year with FlyQuest last year. And a lot of the things that Team Liquid needs, I think Santorin is perfect for. Santorin can play that facilitative style jungler. Team Liquid's going to have huge carries, huge playmakers. Obviously, guys like Core JJ, Alfari is expected to come in and be a huge playmaker. And Santorin is one of the best junglers, if not the best jungler in North America headed into this season. Obviously, Blabber might have something to say about that. Spica. Some people want to rate Closer up there, but I don't think I'm ready for anything like that. And yeah, so there's all these different pretty solid junglers in North America, but I think Santorin does stand above the crowd. And if he can be some of the things that Broxah was supposed to be and wasn't, then Team Liquid can be a very, very scary team because they have one of the best, if not the best players at every single position in North America. Obviously, most people would take Perks over Jensen in the mid lane, maybe even Power of Evil over Jensen in the mid lane. But other than that, they're up there at every single position. They're going to be a scary, scary team. And again, if Santorin can kind of fill those holes, I think it could be great. But luckily, we got some stats to look at. You guys know I've been doing this a lot recently. I have been enjoying this because Broxah and Santorin played at a lot of the same events last year. They played in spring, they played in summer, and they played at World. So we can compare them a little bit and see, was Broxah playing good? What really was going on? Is Santorin going to be an upgrade? Whatever. So we are headed on over to goal.gg, taking a look. This is the LCS spring split of 2020. Now, what Broxah does do well is he always has a great KDA. You can see in his 12 games, he had a 41% win rate, but he was still able to maintain the second highest KDA in the LCS, which some people that might mean something to, but to me, it really doesn't. I don't really think KDA matters that much. It's kind of weird if you have such a high KDA on a team with a 41% win rate, because usually KDA correlates very, very highly with win-loss percentage. If you play on a winning team, you have a higher KDA. You play as a losing team, you have a lower KDA because you're just dying more often. The other team's more fed, stuff like that. But that did stand out to me that Broxah has very high KDA. If we look at some other stuff, CS per minute, Broxah is kind of towards the bottom. Gold per minute, Broxah is again kind of towards the bottom. In terms of kill participation, something that stands out to me, in spring he was actually pretty middle of the pack, but that is not what we really saw from then on. Damage percentage, he is the lowest, but there's some other decent guys towards the bottom as well. Santorin, Svenskeren, Closer. Obviously, damage percentage can have a lot to do with what champions you're playing, but also just what champions your team's playing, how good your team is too. If you have other guys that are doing a ton of damage popping off, that can affect that a little bit. But again, not a great thing. He was also towards the bottom in just straight damage per minute, which, it's not the only thing in the world. Again, there's a lot of ways it can affect that, but it's not a great thing to see. If we take a look at his stats at 15 minutes, which I think is one of the most important times for a jungler. Obviously, junglers are very, very early game focused. We see CSD at 15, where Broxah was averaging -3. He's one of the lower ones in the league. Gold differential at 15, Broxah at -233, and XP differential, where Broxah was -65. So at 15 minutes, he was very, very often coming out with a deficit. And, again, there's a lot that could go into this. Team Liquid was still kind of figuring things out in the spring split. They weren't the best team. This is when the whole double situation was going on. Broxah had visa issues, yada, yada, yada. I think you could pretty easily say that Broxah did not have a great spring split. Again, stats only tell half the story. You got to watch the eye test. You got to watch the games. But he's receiving a lot of flame because of people watching the game. So, maybe the stats tell a different story. When we fast forward to summer, this is when Team Liquid started to settle in a little bit. We have Broxah playing in every single game. We have Team Liquid with an 83% win rate. So he should have some really, really stellar stats. We take a look at KDA again. Broxah, number one in the league. Not surprising. He always has an amazing KDA. He never has a lot of stupid deaths. You'll never really see Broxah ever throwing the game away. He will never really be the reason that you lose. He is very reliable in that regard. In terms of CS per minute, very, very middle of the pack. Gold per minute, very middle of the pack again. Kill participation, he is a little bit towards the bottom end, but still just kind of in the middle, pretty meh. In terms of damage percentage, he's once again last place. Damage per minute, last place once again. So, you know, he's not popping off in terms of damage or anything. But again, champ pool can affect that a lot. Your team can affect that a lot. Not necessarily anything. But I do love looking at the gold differential, or just the stats at 15 minutes, where gold differential, Broxah was down 154. CSD, Broxah is down 2. And XP differential, where Broxah is minus 104. So again, at 15 minutes, a lot of the times, he is not coming ahead with leads. He is not being able to create anything. Then also, he's not doing good damage numbers or having good KP or anything like that either. So he's having kind of lackluster early games, not really scaling into a monster either. So I just really was curious why Broxah is able to look back and say how well he played throughout 2020. That is a big question to me. I don't really understand it. Whatever, the final event of the year, obviously, and the most important is the World Championship of 2020, where in terms of junglers, Broxah had the second highest KDA of all junglers. Again, very impressive. He's always able to have a crazy KDA. He never really has bad deaths. In terms of gold per minute, middle of the pack, if not lower middle of the pack. Kill participation towards the bottom. Damage percentage second to last. Just, man, the damage numbers are so crazy for this guy. I was very, very surprised to see some of this stuff. But yeah, just a ton of inactivity, a ton of just not doing very much. And again, the gold differential and everything at 15, where Broxah was actually up at Worlds. The third highest gold differential at 15 with 211. CSD, he's actually tied for second in XP with 456. So in terms of getting stuff done in the early game, he actually had a much better Worlds. But again, still was not really able to turn that into anything. But that's not entirely his fault. I do think he played a little bit better at Worlds, because generating those leads for your teams, getting things going, and generating gold leads and XP and stuff for yourself, that can be very, very good. That's awesome. That, you know, there's only so much you can ask of a jungler. But throughout much of the LCS, he was not doing those things. And Worlds is just 6 games. It is a very, very, very small sample size. But again, it does surprise me looking back that Broxah is able to look at the 2020 season and say that he's happy with it overall, that he, played well in his opinion and stuff like that. Because one, I would expect a humble guy, a nice guy like him, to always be saying that, you know, there's more he could have done, that he could have done better and stuff like that. And it is a little bit concerning to me. It is a little worrisome to me. And overall, when you look at the stats and just from in-game, you know, we watched all the games, and I'm pretty sure the consensus opinion in the community is that Santorin is going to be an upgrade over Broxah. When you dig deeper, you look at the stats tell you the same thing. So once you really start reading into everything, getting through the weeds, I don't really see Broxah's argument too much. Again, maybe he's getting too much hate. Maybe he's getting too much of the blame. Again, in the spring, I will give it to him. Visa issues, double lift, not doing good, all that stuff. A lot of weird stuff going on with the team. Summer split, less excuses. At Worlds, no excuses. By the end of it, you know, you had almost a full year as a team together. And, you know, you just didn't get things done. That's obviously why you get replaced. Team Liquid has some big upgrades coming in Santorin and Alphari. It'll be interesting to see how well they're able to do. I'm very, very excited for them. I think they are a very, very strong North American team. And I want to see the West do well. I want to see NA do well. I hope they are able to put it all together. And I hope Santorin can be everything that Broxah wasn't. Again, Broxah wasn't the worst play in the world. But he definitely wasn't the best, and he was trying to play, you know, Team Liquid as a team wanted to do something amazing this year, and Broxah, while not horrible, was not amazing. So, to me, that was concerning, and based on his statements and stuff, I'm not expecting him to be too much better for CLG this year, especially playing on a much weaker roster, much weaker team. I think, if anything, he's going to look even worse. But that is pretty much it for this video today, guys. Definitely drop a like if you enjoyed it. Leave a comment down below. What do you guys think? I would love to hear your thoughts and opinions. Was Broxah the issue? Is he getting too much blame? Is Santorin going to be an upgrade? Is Team Liquid better off? Is Broxah better off? I would love to hear whatever you guys have to say. Again, liking the video helps me out a ton, helps with the YouTube algorithm. Subscribing to stay up to date on all my latest content, I would appreciate it a ton. Remember to check out Draft Buff, code IamGerm. Hopefully catch you guys in the next one. But until then, peace!